I know it's hard to believe, but this mansion, the one right there, it's my home.
Your home? You own this place? I can't believe it.
Kemi's slippers stopped at the gate like her feet had suddenly learned fear. The gate was not the kind you pushed open with your hand. It was tall, black, and heavy, with gold flowers carved into the iron like someone had drawn them with fire. A camera blinked above it. A small screen glowed near the intercom. And on both sides, the fence rose high, topped with smooth spikes that caught the late afternoon sun. Kemi stared through the bars. Inside, a long driveway curved like a ribbon through a garden that looked too perfect to be real. Palm trees stood in neat lines. Flowers bloomed in careful colors. Even the grass looked combed. Then she saw it. The mansion. It was huge. Not big house huge. Not rich person huge. It was the kind of huge that made you whisper without meaning to. White walls, white balconies, tall pillars, and windows that shone like mirrors. In front of it, a fountain threw water into the air as if it had nothing else to do. Kemi's throat tightened. Her heart began to beat loud in her ears. Because she knew this place. Everyone in Olorun Hills knew it. Even people who had never stepped near the gate could point at the mansion from far away and say, "That is Chief Adibeo Balogun's house." And now, somehow, she was standing at his gate with a lost old woman holding her hand. The old woman squeezed Kemi's fingers gently, like a child asking for courage. "Kemi," the old woman said softly, as if tasting the name, "you have done well, my daughter." Kemi turned slowly, her mouth dry. "Mama, are you sure this is where you live?" The old woman's eyes were kind, but there was something else inside them too. Something steady. Something strong. Before Kemi could say more, the intercom buzzed. A calm voice asked, "Who is there?" Kemi swallowed. "Good evening, sir. I brought an old woman home. She was lost." There was a pause. The camera above the gate tilted slightly, like it was looking closer. Kemi could almost feel it reading her face. Then the voice changed. Not loud. Not angry. Just sharper, as if someone had sat up straight. "An old woman." "Yes, sir." Another pause. Longer this time. Then the voice said, "Hold on." Kemi's stomach flipped. The old woman let go of her hand and adjusted the scarf on her head. She looked suddenly prepared. Like someone who had waited for this moment for a long time. Kemi's chest felt tight. Her mind raced with questions that had no answers. What was Chief Balogun's mother doing alone in the market? Why didn't she have guards? Why did she choose to walk with Kemi, of all people? The gate clicked. Slowly, it began to open. And Kemi stepped forward, not knowing whether she was walking into blessing or trouble. That was the shocking moment people would talk about later, after everything had changed. But it started much earlier, on an ordinary day that did not look like destiny at all. That morning, Kemi had woken up before the sun, as she always did. In their small room behind Mama Ino's kiosk, the air was warm and thick. Her younger brother, Sola, slept on a thin mattress near the wall, his knees pulled up like a folded paper. Kemi watched him for a moment, then stood quietly. Their mother had died 2 years ago. Since then, life had been like a pot on fire. If you looked away even for a second, something would burn. Kemi washed her face with cold water from a bucket and tied her hair back. She wore her simple blue dress, the one she saved for days when she wanted to feel brave. Then she stepped outside into the waking streets of Olorun Hills. Olorun Hills was a modern town with old bones. There were shiny banks and phone stores, but also dusty corners where people still sat under trees to argue about football and politics. There were streetlights, but sometimes they did not work. There were fancy cars, but also okadas that weaved through traffic like fish in a river. Kemi worked at a small printing shop called Bright Print, where she typed documents, printed invitations, and helped students with assignments. The pay was small, but it was honest. And she was saving money, little by little, hoping to go back to school one day. On her way, she passed Ao's kiosk, where her friend Ao sold phone chargers and earpieces. Ao waved. "Kemi, you look like you want to fight the war today," Ao teased. Kemi forced a smile. "The world started the fight first." Ao laughed, but her eyes softened. "You're still thinking about that rent matter, ABI?" Kemi nodded. Their landlord had been knocking like a drum for weeks. If she didn't pay soon, she and Sola would be pushed out. Ao leaned closer. "One day, Kemi, your story will turn." "It has to." Kemi wanted to believe her. But hope could be painful when it kept coming late. At Bright Print, the day was busy. People came in and out, sweating and rushing. A wedding program. A funeral banner. A business proposal. Kemi typed until her fingers felt like they belonged to someone else. Around midday, her boss, Mr. Chima, frowned at her. "Kemi, you're drifting," he said. "Focus." "I'm sorry, sir," she replied quickly. "I'm focusing." He softened a little. "You're a good girl. Don't let problems steal your head." Kemi nodded, but problems did not need permission to steal. After work, she decided to stop by Adunni Market to buy a few things. The market was loud and alive. Women called out prices like songs. Men dragged wheelbarrows loaded with yams. A generator hummed somewhere, and music from a nearby stall mixed with the smell of pepper and fried fish. Kemi moved through the crowd with a small bag in her hand, careful with her money. That was when she saw the old woman. At first, Kemi thought she was just another shopper. But the woman stood still near a fruit stand, turning in slow circles like someone searching for a door that kept moving. Her wrapper was neat, but her sandals looked dusty. Her headscarf was tied well, but her eyes were lost. Kemi paused. In Olorun Hills, people could ignore someone in trouble and still sleep well at night. They would say, "It's not my business." They would say, "Maybe it's a trick." They would say, "I don't want problems." Kemi almost walked past. Her bag was light, her worries were heavy, and she still had to cook for Sola. But then the old woman spoke to a young man who was passing. "My son," she said, "please, can you tell me where the Blue Gate Street is?" The young man looked at her, shrugged, and walked away as if she had asked for the moon. The old woman's shoulders dropped. Not dramatically. Just quietly, like a leaf giving up on the wind. Something inside Kemi moved. She stepped closer. "Mama, good afternoon." The old woman looked at her, surprised, as if kindness was not something she expected to meet. "Good afternoon, my daughter," she replied. "Are you okay?" Kemi asked. "You look like you're looking for somewhere." The old woman hesitated. "I am trying to go home. But the place is not entering my head." "Blue Gate Street. They said it is close to Oak Fountain." Kemi frowned. Blue Gate Street was not far, but it was not a place you just wandered into by mistake. It was where the biggest houses were. Where rich people lived behind fences and guards. Kemi glanced around. "Mama, did you come with someone?" The old woman shook her head slowly. "I told them I could do small shopping myself. They did not agree, but I said I am not a baby. I walked out, and then the market swallowed me." Kemi felt a mix of pity and worry. The old woman's voice was calm, but her hands trembled slightly when she adjusted her bag. Kemi thought of her own mother. If her mother were alive and lost, would anyone help her? Or would people pass her like dust? "Okay," Kemi said gently. "Let me help you. I know Oak Fountain. I can take you." The old woman stared at her for a moment, as if she was trying to see through her skin into her heart. Then she nodded. "Thank you. May your road be open." Kemi led her out of the market. The sun was still high, but clouds were gathering, making the light softer. They walked slowly, because the old woman's steps were careful. Along the way, the old woman asked more questions. "What is your name, my daughter?" "Kemi." "And what do you do, Kemi?" "I work in a printing shop." The old woman hummed. "Work is good. Honest work is better." Kemi smiled politely, but her thoughts were scattered. People stared at them as they passed. Some looked curious. Some looked suspicious. A few looked amused, like they were watching a strange pairing, a young girl in a simple dress guiding an elderly woman who carried herself like someone important. As they walked farther from the noisy market, the streets became quieter. The shops turned into high fences. The okada's became fewer. The air even felt cleaner, as if money had washed it. Then Kemi noticed something that made her slow down. The old woman's bag was not a cheap market bag. It was leather. Dark brown. Smooth. The kind you saw on people who stepped out of SUVs. Kemi looked at the woman's face again. The wrinkles were there, yes, but they were not the wrinkles of suffering. They were the wrinkles of age, of time, of someone who had been cared for. A question rose in Kemi's throat, but she did not ask it. Soon they reached a street that curved gently upward. At the top of the road stood a gate so tall it blocked part of the sky. Black iron. Gold flowers. A camera blinking like an eye that did not sleep. Kemi stopped walking. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out at first. The old woman's hand slipped into hers again, warm and certain. "That is my home," the old woman said. And in that second, the word tipped. Because Kemi finally understood whose mansion she was about to walk into. Before we go further, if this story is already pulling at your heart, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a story from Echoes from the Baobab tree. And drop a comment below, what would you have done in Kemi's position? Now, let's get back to the story. Kemi's legs felt weak, but she forced them to move. Step by step, she approached the gate as if it might suddenly shout at her. The intercom buzzed. A voice asked, "Who is there?" Kemi swallowed and answered. And when the gate began to open, it felt like the town itself was holding its breath. Two guards in neat uniforms appeared as the gate slid wide. Their eyes landed on the old woman first. At once, their faces changed. Shock. Respect. And something like fear. One guard rushed forward. "Mama. Where have you been?" "We have been looking everywhere." The old woman lifted her chin. "I went to the market." "Is it a crime to breathe fresh air?" The guard looked like he wanted to argue but could not. He turned to Kemi, eyes sharp now. "And you," he said. "Who are you? How did you bring her here?" Kemi's heart pounded. She held up her hand slightly, not to fight, but to show she meant no harm. "My name is Kemi," she said quickly. "I found her at Adunni Market. She was lost. I only helped her come home." The second guard stepped closer, studying Kemi's face like he was searching for lies. Then the old woman spoke, quiet but firm. "She is telling the truth." The guards froze. Even the air seemed to pause. The old woman turned to Kemi and smiled, gentle again. "Come inside with me, my daughter." Kemi blinked. "Inside?" "Yes," the old woman said. "You walked with me. You will not stop at the gate." Kemi's mouth went dry. Behind the guards, the mansion waited, shining and silent, like a giant secret. Kemi took one step through the gate. Then another. And as the gate slid closed behind her with a heavy metallic sound, Kemi realized something that made her blood turn cold in a different way. Inside the courtyard, standing near the fountain, was Chief Adibeo Balogun himself. He was not smiling. He was staring straight at Kemi. And he looked like a man who had just found the person he had been searching for. Kemi's breath caught, because she suddenly remembered something she had tried hard to forget. A day, months ago, when she had crossed paths with the chief's convoy. A mistake she made. A moment that had ended with a threat whispered into her ear. And now she was trapped inside his gates, in his ward, with nowhere to run. Chief Balogun took a slow step forward. "Kemi," he said, calling her name as if he already knew it. Kemi's knees almost gave way. And the old woman's hand tightened on hers, not in fear, but in warning. "Kemi," the old woman whispered, "whatever happens next, tell the truth." The chief lifted his hand slightly, and the guards straightened like soldiers ready for an order. Then he spoke again, his voice low, heavy, and full of something Kemi could not read. "Bring her inside," he said. And Kemi realized the real story was only just beginning. Kemi's feet moved, but it did not feel like she was the one walking. The guards guided her across the wide courtyard, past the fountain that splashed like it was trying to act normal, past flowerbed streams so neatly they looked like they had been measured with a ruler. Everything in the compound was calm, yet Kemi's chest was a storm. Chief Adibeo Balogun stood near the front steps of the mansion, tall and solid in a cream-colored agbada that looked expensive even without trying. His face held power the way a mountain holds stone. People said he owned half of Olorun Hills, and even those who disliked him still spoke his name carefully. His eyes stayed on Kemi as she approached, and Kemi felt as if her thoughts were being searched. The old woman's hand remained in Kemi's, warm, steady, as if she was saying, "Do not shake. Do not break." "Kemi," the chief said again, slower this time. "So you are the one." Kemi opened her mouth. No words came out. The old woman spoke before Kemi could drown in silence. "Adibeo. This is the girl I told you about." The chief's jaw tightened slightly. He did not look at the old woman yet. He kept staring at Kemi. "Inside," he said, and turned toward the doors. The guards moved, and Kemi followed, because the truth was simple. A person did not argue at the gate of a man like Chief Balogun. Not when his name alone could make doors open or close. They entered the mansion. Kemi's eyes widened without permission. The inside was bright, cool, and quiet. The floor shone like still water. A large chandelier hung from the ceiling like frozen rain. Paintings lined the walls, some showing old Yoruba kings, others showing modern city scenes. The smell in the air was clean, like polish and soft perfume. Kemi felt out of place, like a small fish dropped into a glass bowl. A woman in a neat uniform came forward, bowing slightly. "Mama Tun," she said to the old woman, voice full of relief. "We were worried." Mama Tun lifted her hand. "Come. I am here. Bring me water, and let the girl breathe." The woman nodded quickly and disappeared. Chief Balogun did not sit. He paced once, then stopped, facing Kemi as if she was standing in court. "You helped my mother," he said. It sounded like a statement, but it also sounded like a question. "Yes, sir," Kemi managed. "You found her where?" "At Adunni Market," Kemi said. "She was asking for Bluegate Street. People were ignoring her. So I helped." Chief Balogun's eyes narrowed slightly. "Why?" Kemi blinked. "Why?" "Yes," he said. "Why did you help? You don't know her. You don't know what she carries. You don't know what problems follow someone like her." Kemi's throat tightened. She could feel the trap in the question, like a rope hidden under dry leaves. She swallowed. "Because she was an old woman, sir." She looked lost. "She reminded me of my mother." For the first time, Chief Balogun's gaze shifted, just a little. Not softer, but different. Mama Toon sat slowly on a wide sofa, her wrapper arranged perfectly. She watched her son the way someone watches a pot that could boil over. Kemi, Mama Toon said gently, come closer. Kemi stepped forward. Her legs felt stiff. Mama Toon's eyes moved over Kemi's face like someone reading a letter. You have kind eyes, she said. But you are scared. Kemi let out a small breath that sounded like a broken laugh. Yes, Mama. Chief Balagan spoke again, voice low. Scared because you recognize this house, or scared because you recognize me? Kemi's stomach dropped. There it was. The thing that had been chasing her since the gate closed. She looked down at her hands. Her fingers were shaking, and she hated that they were shaking. She wanted to be strong, but fear was sitting on her shoulders like a heavy bag. I recognize you, sir, she said carefully. And how? Chief Balagan asked. Kemi's mind flashed back, sharp and unwanted. It had happened on a Friday evening, months ago, on the road near Oak Fountain. Kemi had been rushing home with Sola. Rain clouds were gathering then too, the sky the color of dirty cotton. Sola's school sandals had torn that week, and Kemi had used her last money to buy him a cheap pair. They were walking fast because they did not want to get caught in the rain. Then the convoy came. 3 black SUVs and a shiny Toyota Land Cruiser, moving like a single animal, horns blaring. People jumped aside quickly. Market women pulled their baskets close. Okada riders swerved and cursed. Kemi pulled Sola toward the roadside, but Sola tripped. His schoolbook spilled across the road, pages flashing white. One book slid further, right toward the path of the Land Cruiser. Kemi's heart had jumped into her throat. Without thinking, she ran forward and grabbed the book. At the same time, the Land Cruiser stopped with a hard jerk. Everything froze. A man stepped out from the passenger side, wearing dark glasses even though the sun was already weak. He walked toward Kemi with a slow, angry confidence. What is wrong with you? He hissed. Do you want to die? Kemi's knees had gone weak, but she stood her ground. My brother fell, she said, voice trembling. I was picking his book. The man leaned close, his breath smelling of mint and something cold. Do you know whose convoy this is? Kemi had shaken her head, because in that moment, the only thing she knew was that her brother was crying. The man pointed toward the Land Cruiser. Through the tinted window, a shape sat inside, still, watching. That is Chief Adibeo Balagan, the man whispered like a threat. You delayed him. Next time, you won't see tomorrow. Kemi had grabbed Sola's hand and run, her heart banging like a drum. That night she could not sleep. She kept hearing the words, you won't see tomorrow. And ever since then, anytime she saw black SUVs, her body remembered fear. Now, standing in the chief's mansion, Kemi felt that old fear rise again. Chief Balagan watched her as if waiting for the confession to finish. So, he said, you are the girl who stepped into my road. Kemi's mouth went dry. I was picking my brother's book, sir. And you delayed me, he said, voice flat. Mama Toon lifted her hand sharply. Adibeo. He paused, but his eyes stayed hard. Kemi gathered what courage she could find. Sir. I didn't mean to disrespect you. That day, I was only trying to help my brother. Chief Balagan stared at her for a long moment. In that silence, the mansion felt like it was listening too. Then he said something that shocked Kemi more than the gate, more than the fountain, more than the chandelier. I remember your face, he said. Because I told them to find you. Kemi's blood turned cold. Her lips parted. Find me. Yes, Chief Balagan said. Not to punish you. Kemi blinked, confused by the words. He took a step closer. To thank you. Kemi's eyes widened. Thank me. Mama Toon nodded slowly, as if a secret was finally coming into light. That day, she said, you did not know it, but you saved something important. Kemi looked from mother to son, lost. Chief Balogun's voice lowered. That road, near Oak Fountain, he said. My driver was tired. He had been driving since morning. When you ran to pick that book, he braked too late. If the car had moved just one more second. He paused, and Kemi felt the weight of his unspoken words. If we had hit you, Mama Toon continued softly, the whole town would have heard. It would have stained our name. It would have broken your brother. It would have broken you. You stepping out forced my driver to stop fully. It prevented a worse thing. Kemi's heart pounded, but in a different way now. Not pure fear, but a strange mix of relief and confusion. But your man threatened me, Kemi said before she could stop herself. Chief Balogun's face darkened. Which man? Kemi hesitated. Giving names in a rich man's house could be like pouring petrol near fire. I don't know his name, sir, she said quickly. He wore dark glasses. Chief Balogun's eyes flashed. He turned slightly toward one of the guards. Call Toju. The guard nodded and stepped away. Kemi's hands began to sweat. Something about the chief's tone made her feel like today's visit was not only about thanks. Mama Toon reached for Kemi's hand again. My daughter, she said kindly, do you know why I went to the market alone today? Kemi shook her head. Mama Toon leaned closer. Because I wanted to see if kindness still lives in Olorun Hills. Kemi frowned. Mama. Mama Toon's eyes were steady. Too many people have become hard. They say the world is wicked, so they must be wicked first. Even in this house, people obey out of fear, not love. I wanted to meet someone who helps without calculating. Kemi felt a sudden sting behind her eyes. She blinked hard. I wasn't calculating, Kemi whispered. I know, Mama Toon said. At that moment, a woman returned with a tray of water and a small plate of meat pie. She placed it gently on the table. Drink, Mama Toon told Kemi. Kemi picked up the glass with both hands. The water was cold and sweet. It slid down her throat like calmness. Then footsteps approached. A man entered the room. He was tall, wearing a fitted suit, and yes, he had dark glasses resting on his face even indoors. Kemi's stomach tightened. Chief Balogun's voice cut through the air. Toju. The man stopped, smiling like someone who thought he was safe. Yes, Chief. Chief Balogun pointed at Kemi without looking away from the man. Do you know her? Toju turned his head, eyes landing on Kemi. The smile on his mouth hesitated for half a second, then returned. I can't say I do, he said. Kemi's heart hammered. Because she knew he was lying. And she was not sure what would happen if she proved it. Mama Toon's voice was calm, but it carried weight. Look well, Toju. Toju's smile tightened. Mama, I'm looking. Chief Balogun took one slow step forward. Months ago, he said, a young girl and her brother were on the road near Oak Fountain. You stepped out and spoke to her. You told her something. Toju's face stayed smooth. Chief, many people stand on the road. Many things happen. Chief Balogun's eyes sharpened. You told her she would not see tomorrow. Silence. Kemi felt it hit the room like a stone thrown into still water. Toju's smile finally fell. His throat moved as he swallowed. Kemi's breath caught. Because in that moment, she realized something bigger than her fear. This was not only about a lost old woman. This was about power, and threats, and secrets. And she was standing right in the middle of it. Mama Toon squeezed Kemi's hand and whispered, almost too softly to hear, "Speak the truth, my daughter." Kemi's lips trembled. Her eyes met Toju's. His gaze was warning now. Sharp. Dangerous in a quiet way. Kemi understood the message without words. If you talk, you might regret it. Her chest tightened. She thought of Sola at home, waiting for her. She thought of rent. She thought of the landlords knocking. She thought of how small her life was compared to this mansion. Then she thought of the old woman in the market, being ignored. A strange courage rose, slow but steady, like sunrise. Kemi took a breath. Yes, she said, voice shaking but clear. He is the one. He threatened me that day. Toju's face hardened instantly. That is a lie. Chief Balagan's voice was ice. Is it? Toju lifted his hand slightly. Chief, you know how people talk. She wants money. She wants attention. She walked into your house and now she thinks she can. Enough, Mama Toon said, and the room fell quiet like someone had turned off a radio. She stood up slowly. In that moment, she did not look like a lost old woman at all. She looked like the kind of woman who had raised kings. Mama Toon faced Toju. Do you know why I insisted on going out alone today? She asked. Toju's mouth opened, then closed. Because, Mama Toon continued, I wanted to test the hearts in this house too. She turned her eyes to Chief Balagan. Adibeo, your power is great. But power without kindness becomes a whip. And those who hold the whip too long start to enjoy it. Chief Balagan's face tightened, but he did not interrupt his mother. Mama Toon looked back at Toju. You threatened a poor girl for picking her brother's book. You used my son's name as a knife. That is not loyalty. That is wickedness wearing uniform. Toju's lips pressed together. His eyes darted. Then, suddenly, he laughed. Not a happy laugh. A small, bitter one. Mama, he said, voice low, you are old. You don't understand how things work now. Kemi felt a chill. Because the way he said it was not just disrespect. It sounded like a warning. Chief Balagan's eyes flashed dangerously. Watch your mouth. Toju's gaze slid to Kemi, then to Mama Toon, then back to the chief. His shoulders stiffened as if he had decided something. You want the truth? Toju said quietly. Fine. Let's talk truth. The room held its breath. Toju stepped closer, lowering his voice, but it still cut deep. That day at Oak Fountain, he said, it wasn't only the driver that was tired. There was another reason the car stopped late. Kemi's eyes widened. Chief Balagan's face went still. What are you saying? Toju's mouth curved into a thin smile. I'm saying, Chief, there are things you don't know about your own convoy. Kemi's heart slammed against her ribs. Mama Toon's fingers tightened on Kemi's hand. And Chief Balagan took one slow step forward, voice dangerous and calm. Say it plainly, Toju. Toju lifted his chin. Then he spoke the words that made Kemi's stomach drop again, because she could feel the ground shifting under everyone in the room. That day, Toju said, someone wanted an accident to happen. Kemi froze. Chief Balagan's eyes widened just slightly, then narrowed. Mama Toon's face tightened, but she did not look surprised, only pained. And Kemi realized, with a sudden sick clarity, that she had walked into a mansion full of secrets, and her small act of kindness had opened a door that could not be closed. Toju's voice lowered even more. If you push me too hard, he warned, I will say the name of the person who ordered it. Chief Balagan's fist clenched. Kemi's breath stopped. Because the next words would decide everything. And the mansion, shining and silent around them, felt like it was waiting for the truth to explode. Kemi felt her whole body turn stiff. Toju's words hung in the air like smoke. Someone wanted an accident to happen. Chief Balagan did not shout. That was what made it worse. His voice stayed calm, but it sounded like a door locking. You will say the name, he said. Toju's lips curled. Chief, do you want to ruin your own house because of a roadside girl? Kemi flinched at the way he said it, as if she was a stone in his shoe. Mama Toon's hand tightened on Kemi's wrist, steadying her. Chief Balogun stepped closer to Toju, not touching him, but closing the space until Toju had to tilt his head back to keep eye contact. If a snake is in my compound, the chief said quietly, it does not matter who first saw it. It matters that it is there. Toju's smile thinned. His eyes darted toward the hallway, toward the guards, toward the doors, as if he was already planning escape. Mama Toon spoke then, her voice gentle but strong. Toju, you have eaten from this house. You have worn its name like a shield. If you have truth, release it. If you have lies, swallow them. Toju laughed again, but this time it sounded shaky. You want truth? He said. Fine. The truth is, you people don't understand what you're sitting on. Chief Balogun's gaze sharpened. Enough riddles. Toju's jaw walked, and for a moment Kemi thought he would say the name. But instead, he turned suddenly and pointed at Kemi. This girl, he said. She is the problem. Kemi's heart jumped. Me? Yes. Toju snapped. Because she saw the convoy stop. She saw me. She can speak. And if she speaks in the wrong place, people will start asking questions. Chief Balogun's eyes narrowed. So your solution was to threaten her? Toju spread his hands. I protected the house. Mama Toon's face tightened with disgust. You protected yourself. Silence fell again. Then, from outside, a sharp sound cut through the quiet. A distant shout. Another shout answering it. Footsteps, fast, urgent. One of the guards rushed into the room, breathing hard. Chief. Chief Balogun did not look away from Toju. Speak. The guard swallowed. There are people at the gate. Journalists. Bloggers. They are recording. They are saying. Mama Toon was missing. They're asking questions. Kemi's stomach turned. Journalist. Here. Toju's eyes gleamed for one quick second, and Kemi saw it clearly. He looked pleased. Chief Balogun's voice dropped even lower. How did they know? The guard hesitated. Chief, someone tipped them. Chief Balogun finally turned his head, slowly, like a lion hearing a twig snap. His eyes landed back on Toju. Toju's mouth lifted into a small smile that was almost careless. Chief, calm down. People talk. The world is social media now. Mama Toon stared at Toju with a new kind of sadness. So you would disgrace this house just to save your own skin? Toju shrugged. Disgrace. Or, correction. Maybe you people need fear to behave. Kemi's breath caught. The way he spoke was not the voice of a servant anymore. It was the voice of someone who believed he had power too. Chief Balogun took a step toward the guard. Lock the inner gate. No one comes in. The guard nodded and rushed out. Toju chuckled. Locking gates won't lock mouths. Chief Balogun faced him again. You are finished here. Toju's smile disappeared. Chief. No, Chief Balogun said sharply. You used my name to threaten the weak. You played games with my mother's safety. Whatever you know, you will say it to the police. Kemi's eyes widened. The police. In this house. It felt like thunder was about to fall. Toju's face changed. The joking mask slipped. Anger rose, fast and ugly. You think you can hand me over, he hissed. After all I've done. After all I've covered. Mama Toon stepped forward. If you are innocent, you will be fine. Toju's eyes flashed. Mama, you are kind. But kindness can blind you. He looked at Kemi again, and his gaze turned sharp, threatening. And you, He said softly, "You think helping a lost old woman will make you a hero? Do you know what heroes become in towns like this? Targets." Kemi's skin prickled. Before she could speak, Chief Balagan moved. He lifted his hand, and 2 guards stepped in, flanking Toju. Toju stiffened. "Don't touch me." One guard reached for his arm. Toju suddenly shoved him hard. The guard stumbled back into a side table. A vase shook and fell, crashing to the floor. The sound was loud, ugly, and final. Kemi jumped. And in that chaos, Toju did the one thing nobody expected. He grabbed Mama Toon's wrist. Everything froze. Kemi's breath stopped. The guards paused, afraid to move the wrong way. Toju held Mama Toon close, not choking her, not hurting her, but using her like a shield. His voice dropped, shaking with anger. "Tell them to step back," he warned. "Or this old woman will fall." Chief Balagan's eyes widened, then turned dark with rage. "Toju." Mama Toon stayed calm, even with Toju's hand on her. Her chin lifted slightly. "Do you see yourself?" she asked him quietly. Toju's face twitched. "I see survival." Chief Balagan took one slow step forward, hands raised slightly. "Let her go." Toju pulled Mama Toon a little closer. "Back." Kemi's mind raced. She saw the journalist at the gate in her imagination, cameras ready. She saw tomorrow's headlines. She saw Mama Toon hurt. She saw Sola at home, alone, if Kemi never returned. Then Mama Toon did something small, almost invisible. He shifted her weight. And she pressed her heel down, hard, on Toju's foot. Toju gasped, pain flashing across his face. His grip loosened for half a second. It was only half a second, but it was enough. Chief Balagan lunged forward. The guards grabbed Toju's arms and yanked him away. Mama Toon stumbled, and Kemi caught her, wrapping her arms around the older woman's shoulders. Kemi felt Mama Toon's heartbeat, steady but fast. Toju struggled, breathing hard. "You don't know what you're doing," he shouted. "If I go down, I won't go alone." Chief Balagan's voice shook with fury. "Take him to the security office. Now." The guards dragged Toju toward the hallway. Toju twisted his head back and locked eyes with Kemi one last time. And he smiled. Not a happy smile. A promise. "You think this ends here," he said. "Ask Chief Balagan what he did 10 years ago. Ask him why he's so afraid of questions." Kemi's stomach dropped. Chief Balagan's face went still, like stone. Mama Toon's eyes closed briefly, as if she had just heard an old wound open. Then the guards pulled Toju out of the room, his voice fading down the corridor. Outside, faintly, the noise at the gate grew louder. Shouting. Camera clicks. A crowd hungry for a story. Kemi held Mama Toon tighter. "Mama, are you okay?" Mama Toon nodded, breathing carefully. "I am fine, my daughter." Chief Balagan turned toward the window, listening to the chaos outside. When he spoke, his voice was quieter, almost tired. "This house has been too silent for too long," he said. He turned back to Kemi, and for the first time his eyes looked less like power and more like burden. "You walked in here because you helped my mother," he said. "But now you have heard things you shouldn't have heard." Kemi's mouth went dry again. "Sir." He held up a hand. "I won't harm you. But I won't lie to you either." Mama Toon looked at Kemi gently. "There is a price for doing the right thing," she said. "Not always. But sometimes." Kemi swallowed hard. "I didn't plan for any of this." "I know," Mama Toon replied. "That is why it matters." Chief Balagan exhaled slowly. "The media outside will twist this. They will say my mother was kidnapped. They will say we are hiding something." Kemi's eyes widened. But that's not true. No, Chief Baligan said. But truth and noise are not friends. He walked to a side table and picked up his phone. His fingers moved quickly. He spoke into it, low and controlled, giving short instructions. Then he faced Kemi again. Kemi, he said, you have two choices. Her heart pounded. Choices? Yes, he said. You can leave now, through the back gate, and try to return to your normal life. Kemi's mind flashed to Sola. To their small room. To rent. To the landlord's knocking. To the way fear followed her. And the second choice, she asked softly. Chief Baligan's gaze held hers. The second choice, he said, is to stay. To speak the truth with us. To help my mother do what she came out to do today. Mama Toon nodded slowly. To test hearts, she murmured. Kemi's throat tightened. And if I stay? Chief Baligan's jaw clenched. If you stay, you may become a target for the kind of people Toju is connected to. Kemi felt her hands shake again. Outside, the shouting grew louder. Mama Toon squeezed Kemi's fingers. My daughter, she said, you helped me when you thought I was nobody. If you walk away now, I will not blame you. Kemi looked from Mama Toon to Chief Baligan. Then she heard it, clear in her mind, like her mother's voice from long ago. If you see someone on the ground, you don't step over them. You leave them, because tomorrow it could be you. Kemi's eyes filled with tears, not from fear this time, but from the weight of choice. She wiped her face quickly. I'll stay, she said. Chief Baligan's eyes narrowed slightly. Are you sure? Kemi nodded. Yes, sir. Mama Toon's face softened, proud and sad at the same time. May your road be open, Kemi. At that moment, another guard rushed in, voice urgent. Chief. They have climbed the outer fence. Some are trying to force the gate. Chief Baligan's face hardened. He looked at Kemi, then at his mother. Then, he said, voice firm, we stop hiding. He turned toward the main doors. And Kemi realized the next few minutes would decide whether her kindness would become her blessing or her battle. The doors began to open. The noise outside rushed in like a wave. And Kemi stepped forward with Mama Toon at her side, not knowing what the crowd would do when they saw them, but knowing one thing for sure. There was no going back.